did ancient Hindu texts describe the multiverse way before science? Most folks think the multiverse is a pretty new concept, something conjured up by physicists, sci-fi writers, and those who joke about another version of themselves out there living a totally different life. But here's where it gets interesting. Long before modern cosmology ever threw around terms like parallel universes or the multiverse, Hindu thinkers were already painting reality as layered, cyclical, and hugely bigger than the single world we see, not with physics jargon, not with equations, but through a vision of existence so immense, it still feels mind-bending even now, because the real question in those texts wasn't just how many worlds are out there. It went much deeper. What is reality really? And what if this world we see is just one tiny piece of it? That's where things get fascinating. Now, let's tread carefully here. This doesn't mean ancient India invented modern science. It didn't, and trying to twist old Sanskrit texts to sound like physics papers would be plain wrong. But ignoring them altogether would be just as short-sighted, because some of the oldest Hindu scriptures were already playing with ideas that sound surprisingly similar to the questions modern science is still grappling with. Multiple worlds, cycles of creation and destruction, realities beyond what we can normally perceive, and a universe shaped not just by matter, but by consciousness. Take the Rig Veda for starters. One of its most famous creation stories does something pretty remarkable for a text that old. It doesn't pretend to have all the answers. It doesn't give you some neat, confident explanation of how everything started. Instead, it delves into the origin of existence and wonders what was there before form, before the sky, before the world itself. That's significant, because from the get-go, reality is treated as a mystery, not a machine or a closed system. A mystery. Then, the Upanishads take that idea even further. They suggest that beneath all the countless forms of life and matter, there's a deeper underlying reality. What seems separate might not really be separate. What looks like many things might all spring from a single source. So, right from the early days of Hindu thought, you've got this tension. The world seems like a collection of separate things, but reality might be one unified whole. Hold that thought, because later Hindu cosmology blows that picture up big time. Not just one universe, not just one creation, but countless realms, countless cycles, countless ways for existence to express itself. Later on, especially in Vaishnava thought, the cosmos is described as holding countless universes, each with its own Brahma. And one of the most striking images comes from the Bhagavata Purana. The familiar four-headed Brahma is taken down a peg when he meets other Brahmas from other universes. Some with 10 heads, some with 100, some with way more. Think about that for a second. That's some serious imagination at work. That's a civilization thinking beyond a single cosmic order, envisioning different universes, different scales, different structures of reality. No, that's not modern physics, but it's definitely not primitive thinking either. Then the imagery gets even more powerful. Mahavishnu is described as the source from which universes emerge and the one they return to. Creation isn't a one-time deal. It's rhythmic, like breathing. Worlds come into being, and worlds dissolve, over and over again. And suddenly this ancient spiritual vision starts sounding strangely similar to a modern scientific concept. Bubble universes, cosmic cycles, realities beyond what we can directly observe. That doesn't mean the two ideas are the same, because they're not. But the resemblance is close enough to make you stop and think, because modern cosmology has opened the door to similar possibilities. Some inflationary models suggest our universe might be just one of many bubble universes. Some versions of string theory imagine a vast landscape of possible realities, each with its own set of rules. Science hasn't proven any of this yet, and these ideas are still up for debate. But it's a real conversation, and that's what makes the comparison so compelling. Modern physics asks whether there might be many universes, while Hindu metaphysics asked a different question, a tougher one. Who is the one aware of all this? That's where the conversation takes a whole new turn. Because the deepest insight in Hindu thought wasn't just the idea of multiple worlds, but the idea that consciousness itself might be more fundamental than we realize. The Upanishads keep circling back to that possibility. Behind the changing forms, behind the worlds that appear and disappear, there might be a deeper ground of being, an underlying reality that consciousness is somehow connected to. So, when people today hear about parallel universes, they usually picture alternate timelines, another version of themselves, another Earth, another life. But Hindu thought points to something even more profound. What if the real mystery isn't just that there are many worlds, but that all worlds arise within a deeper reality that consciousness itself touches? That's no longer just a scientific question. It's a question about existence itself. Because once reality is no longer just about matter, everything changes. Your mind isn't just some side effect. Your choices aren't meaningless. Time isn't as flat as it seems. Existence becomes layered, and living becomes more significant. And maybe that's why these ancient ideas still resonate. Not because they predicted science or won some argument against physics, but because they reject the narrowness of the modern imagination. They refuse to believe that reality is limited to what we can measure right now, and they refuse to reduce existence to surface-level appearances. Maybe modern science and ancient Hindu cosmology aren't saying the same thing. In fact, they're not, but they might be circling the same mystery from different angles. One through mathematics and the other through metaphysics. One asking how many universes there might be. Then there's the question of what existence really is. Maybe that's why these writings still resonate so strongly. It's not just that they tell us about a bigger universe, but that they describe one that makes you feel small in the best way. A universe where we might not be the main attraction, where creation could still be happening, where there might be layers of reality we can't even see, and where consciousness could be way more important than we've ever realized. So, no, ancient Hindu thinkers didn't give us the secrets of string theory, but they might have done something just as vital. They showed the human mind how to imagine beyond a single world, a single lifetime, a single level of reality that we can see. And once you start thinking that way, reality never seems small again.